See? What the heck? Let's see. Are we on?
Mm-hmm.
We are on? Oh, okay. It didn't pop up on mine, but okay, never mind. What's up, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the G Show podcast. I am G1, and this, as you can see, is our live stream on the end of the SNYDERVERSE. James Gunn's annihilation of the DC EU. But I am joined here by one of my cohorts, as always, on the live streams, Mr. JR. What's up, brother?
Hello.
Thank you for joining us, man.
Yeah.
To talk about the travesty that is the end of the SNYDERVERSE. But also joining us, which is crazy, I got him on the live stream for the first time in a long time. Things are going crazy here. I'm sorry. That was your announcement music. Also joining us for the first time on a live stream in a very extremely long time, my brother from another mother, the man who helped me start the G Show podcast page itself here on YouTube, G95, aka Matt. What's up, my brother?
Hey, thanks for having me on a live stream. I literally cannot remember the last time I was here.
It's crazy because as a quick note, one of the very first things we put on this channel, well, I had no idea what I was doing, was a live stream talking about the EU. We were straight up talking about the Suicide Squad and Man of Steel and BVS and
I think it was our BVS review.
I think it was, right? Where we just
segued off for 3 hours about where things could go, and it would be interesting to go back and see those predictions and to see just how fucking wrong we were.
Wrong we were indeed. What the fuck happened? I mean, look, fellas, the DC's movie verse, the SNYDERVERSE, it had a good run. I'm not gonna say it had the best run. It's not by any means Marvel, but it's been around for 10 years almost now. I mean, Man of Steel came out in 2013. And here we are on the cusp of that movie's 10th anniversary. Henry Cavill just coming back into the fold in that stinger credit scene in Black Adam. And a month after that movie comes out, Henry Cavill is out as Superman because James Gunn and a producer from the Conjuring series has taken over DC, has the reins of the DC film universe, and has decided to scrap everything and start from scratch. And yeah, we're here to voice our opinions, talk about what we think. I'm gonna start with you, Matt, since it's been a very long time. And don't get me wrong, we had a conversation on Sunday, a brief one.
Yeah.
And you've said some things, and now in hindsight, I totally agree with you. But go ahead, brother.
Yeah, well, I mean, this really just came as a complete fucking shock because I don't know, it's just bad PR moves all around to announce Henry Cavill back as Superman, to have all these movies still on the slate for the DCEU, whether it be The Flash or Aquaman or Shazam. Might be forgetting a couple. And just to kind of throw all that in the trash is just a really bad idea to get people on your side and to get excited about what's to come. Because obviously now we know that these upcoming movies have absolutely no stakes and no bearing on anything that happens again. And I mean, it hasn't been said so far that the DCEU is officially dead and gone, but to get rid of Superman and then to actively just say on Twitter, yeah, we're working on a new Superman movie. It's like that's kind of a telling sign, I think. It's just a big shit show. And I like James Gunn. I respect James Gunn. Like I said to you the other day, I think he's not nearly as charming as everybody thinks he is, and these really interesting decisions are kind of proving that. And I have a feeling he's probably such an egomaniac that Peacemaker and the Suicide Squad will probably still stay in some kind of canon to his. But that remains to be seen, I suppose.
Yeah, no, I agree, and that's one of the things I was thinking about yesterday when this news broke. I literally on the Facebook page had just posted up something in defense of James Gunn, talking about how I will die on this hill that you have the Flash movie coming out, and that is a perfect way to reboot the entire DC universe. It's the perfect way. All I wanted was for them to keep the actors portraying the characters. I mean, if you have one artist drawing Superman, and then there's a giant crisis, and then everything gets rebooted, and that same artist comes back and draws Superman, he's not going to draw him any different. There should be no different in films. But there's more to the story. Before I go on rambling, I want to get your opinion on this, JR.
Look, all I'm gonna say is Henry Cavill. He was a great Superman. I never had a complaint with him as Superman, and I never watched Man of Steel, but I watched Batman v Superman and both versions of Justice League, and really enjoyed him as Superman. And just it's kind of a surprise actually that they are kicking him to the curb, because especially in Batman v Superman, he was the character I was most invested in. And I'm a Batman fan, and I'm like, Henry Cavill's kind of killing it, but he kills it in everything that he's in. I mean, let's be real. So that's weird, and I am curious, what they're gonna do with the series now, because I mean, I'm sure we might get to that later, so I'll just save it for later. But yeah, what are you doing, James Gunn? Stop it.
It kills me. Like I said, I am a huge James Gunn fan. Like, I love this man. I love his films. Um, he really caught me off guard with Guardians of the Galaxy 1. When that first trailer dropped, I was like, get the fuck out of here. I'm not going to see this. I don't want nothing to do with it. And then I was in Disney during the 4th of July, right before that movie came out, and we watched the first 15 minutes where Captain EO used to be. We watched the first 15 minutes, and I was like, oh my God, I'm in. What the hell is this? I was totally in. So I really did like him because he made me a believer right after that. I mean, the Scooby-Doo movies are the Scooby-Doo movies. They're Scooby-Doo. They were funny. But as far as in a superhero cinematic universe that they were setting up so wonderfully, I mean, the Avengers had already come out. And I'm like, Guardians of the Galaxy? Really? Who gives a fuck? No idea what was going to happen. Turned my opinion around on that. Then Guardians 2 came out, and granted, everybody knows, like, I'm a huge Guardians 2 fan. I know a lot of people don't like that. I love it. I don't know what it is, but I really love that movie. And I'm like, this man could do no wrong. And then they wronged him by digging up Twitter stuff he put out 35,000 years ago. And Disney was like, yeah, we can't have that here. And he's like, that was in my past. I'm not even about that anymore. They got rid of him. DC scooped him right up. Go do whatever you want to do. He takes the Suicide Squad. He makes a Suicide Squad movie that I thoroughly enjoy. He throws the kitchen sink in there. Matt, you know me. If there's a giant monster in the movie, thumbs up automatically. And motherfucking Starro was all over that, right? So I was in. Then they give him Peacemaker. And then Disney's like, wait, whoa, no, we want you back. Please, could you finish off Guardians of the Galaxy for us, please? And he went back. And Guardians 3 is coming out. He did the Christmas special. I thoroughly loved the Christmas special. I thought it was fantastic. I love James Gunn. So when I heard he was coming to DC and taking over DC, I was kind of like, whippy! I was Anakin Skywalker. Yippee! I swear to God, I was so happy. And then people, especially last week it started, I started seeing the things where people were like, he's getting rid of everybody. And I'm like, no, he's not. Then Wonder Woman 3 gets canceled. I'm okay with that. Wonder Woman 84 wasn't good. It wasn't. I love Wonder Woman 1. I love the first one. Gal Gadot surprised the shit out of me. She's the perfect Wonder Woman in my book. So I was like, okay, you get rid of Wonder Woman 3, but keep Gal Gadot on as Wonder Woman. Reboot, put her back, let it go, and take it from there. Is she safe now? A lot of people were saying he's getting rid of everybody. I didn't buy it. Like I said, I put something up on a Facebook page. I did not buy it. And literally, 15 minutes after I put that post up, the news drops. James Gunn is cleaning house. Henry Cavill is a casualty. I'm like, what? I had to go back, put a brand new post talking about that hill that I won't die on just got blown up. Because James Gunn, a man I fucking love, thoroughly respect, still do, because you really can't go by anything. We haven't seen what he's going to do just yet. But James Gunn, someone I really love and respect, completely, he demolished it. He took everything away. He took it all away, and it hurt, and I'm hurt. Henry Cavill came back. I was so happy. I was excited. I wanted to see a Man of Steel 2. I wanted to see something like a Brainiac on film. And I think Henry Cavill would have been the perfect Superman to go up against a Brainiac. I wanted to see these things come to fruition. And now we can't. And it kills me. Before we go on, we have a comment. The Spider-Man 7285 writes, Zack's movies, the trilogy, it was the only thing working. Had the 5-movie arc ended, it would have made everyone better. DC is back to baby steps, and Marvel will have no reason to stop the BS. That's a good point. That's fair. I think that's a valid thing, Matt.
Yeah, no, I mean, that totally is. Like, they had somebody who had a cohesive vision, and then they kicked him to the curb, and a bunch of studio meddling and stuff, and like their whole universe fell apart, where now in canon movies are kind of like barely connected. Like Shazam and the Suicide Squad are like canon adjacent.
Yeah.
I mean, like Marvel hasn't had like genuine competition since all this came up. Like their big competition is the distinctly Elseworlds stuff, like Joker and the Batman.
Right.
But I mean, that's not really competition. But no, this is like I said earlier. This is just like probably a pretty bad move to show fans that DC still has any idea what they're doing, even with 2 people who are in charge of it now. And we might just have to accept that, like, James Gunn is a very funny guy. He's a really charming guy. He seems like a really good, overall good dude. And I like pretty much everything I've ever seen him do. That doesn't necessarily mean that he's a good businessman, though.
Fair point. Fair point. JR, with all this going on, do you agree with the Spider-Man 7285 where Marvel doesn't have any reason to stop their bullshit now?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, call me a Marvel hater. There are some good ones. I'll always admit that, but I haven't been liking what Marvel's been putting out lately. I mean, the last one I liked was Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. And that's just because Sam Raimi. That's literally the only reason I like the movie. I'm like, yeah, Sam Raimi and Doctor Strange. I wish there was a lot more blood. But no, like, and it's also interesting too because you have the Snyder Cut of Justice League come out, and it like fans fucking loved it. I loved it. I was like, yo, this is good. You know, some of the musical scores were like, all right, let's just tone this loud, high-pitched squealing down a little bit, but that's like one complaint in a 4-hour movie. I was invested 100%. And gone. It's all gone now. You know, and that makes me worried about the Batman, because that is literally, you know, it's my favorite movie of the year right here, and my favorite Batman movie. I'm like, you know, I'm clenching my cheeks a little bit here. I don't know what Gunn's doing.
Based on what I've seen on Twitter, it sounds like the Batman is safe. There was some like preliminary rumors saying that the Pattinson's Batman would be ported over into the larger universe, which I think is a very bad idea. But James Gunn quickly said that that's not going to be happening.
Yeah, that would be a terrible idea. Patton's Batman and that whole movie or series of movies they're gonna do, specific, very like atmospheric specific to what they're trying to do. You can't take Pattinson's Batman and drop it in a James Gunn film. It wouldn't fucking work. I'm sorry to say, but it's very genre specific with that. But that's just me.
No, I hear that. Let me ask you this. You made a good point. James Gunn film. Do we get the superhero movie making James Gunn where there's got to be this soundtrack with all of these things? Because I mean, again, I loved Guardians of the Galaxy 1. I thoroughly love Guardians of the Galaxy 2. The soundtrack has a lot to do with that. And Suicide Squad did it too. Are we going to get that with these? Because I'm pretty sure he's writing Superman. We don't know if he's directing it. But I'm pretty sure he's going to jump in the director's chair for something. If it is Superman or anything in that fact outside of Suicide Squad 2 or a Peacemaker solo movie, do we get the James Gunn isms? Are we going to get these music videos tied together to make a fun, cohesive film? JR.
Yes and no. If from what I would imagine, if Gunn was to write and direct a Superman movie, that would be the closest we would ever get to a Christopher Reeves Superman movie. Like, that's what I see him doing. I'm serious. It would have the same jokes. It would have the corniness. Guardians of the Galaxy 1 and 2 is proof enough of, yeah, that's exactly what we would get. That's just me. And I don't know if I'd be totally against it, but if every DC movie in the cinematic universe was like that, that's where I'm like, okay, can we just be serious for a second? You know what I mean?
Nah, I got you. Matt, I mean, I did also see those rumors about the Batman, Robert Pattinson's Batman, getting folded into this new DC film universe. But like JR said, it's atmospheric. Does it fit? Could Pattinson's
not even a little bit.
No, right? He could.
No, it's two different worlds, and it'd be like trying to port Joker over, and it just wouldn't work. It's just a really bad idea, and I mean, I can easily see that being the case where every movie has that James Gunn flair to it, where it's raunchy humor and gore for the sake of gore, which I love, but you know, I also love movies that take themselves seriously too. Like I don't think I want a whole universe of that, because at that point that's just R-rated Marvel, and I don't need that in my life.
I got you, and it's funny because go ahead.
Oh no, go ahead.
I got that because you said that and it hit me. I was like, right, because Guardians of the Galaxy to me was the answer to Deadpool or Logan. You know, where granted at that point in time they were still Fox Studios and Fox made those R-rated movies, but it was like, oh, DC's letting me do an R-rated movie. I mean, Joker was rated R too. I forgot all, but it's not a gory movie. It's rated R for the theme and some disturbing images, right? And I love the Joker. It's one of my favorite movies ever. And then Suicide Squad was just like straight art for the sake of gore and cursing and just bathroom humor, potty humor. I didn't mind. I actually liked it. I again, like I said, I really like James Gunn's Suicide Squad. It's fun. It's over the top. It's bonkers, and he's a giant starro. But yeah, could you imagine that we will never see an R-rated Superman? I think BVS was probably the closest you'll ever get to a hard PG-13 version of Superman. JR, I'm completely upset with you that you've never seen The Man of Steel. You need to rectify that like this fucking weekend, okay? There's no wrestling on, so your homework is you better watch that movie this weekend. It's a great film, and it's a perfect jump-off point for the entire Snyderverse. Like, it really was a good movie. And BVS, to me, ruined it. I was like, what the fuck did we do here? That's why I was excited for Henry Cavill coming back, so we can get a legitimate Man of Steel 2. It's not the case anymore. So, what the case is we're going to do a younger Superman. Not an origin story, so Superman's going to be in Metropolis. I'm okay with that. I don't, again, like Batman, don't need to see the origin 1,000 times. A younger Superman. Are we going to be basing this off of anything? Are we going to go to, let's say, the Earth 1 Superman books, where, you know, it's a younger Clark Kent. He has been Superman for a year or so, and deal with, you know, the situations from like those books? Or are we gonna get a totally new story? There's so much shit with Superman, so much content, but very little origin stories where it's like a younger Superman. Now, we did it with the New 52. They did Action Comics where it was the t-shirt wearing Clark Kent in Metropolis. I hated that. I never finished. I read like 2 issues, and I was like, there's no way. How could you not see who that is? And because he was wearing a t-shirt, a cape, and jeans, and that was stupid. But I digress. I don't know. I didn't read it all. We can't be doing things like that. Like, James Gunn can't be that crazy, right, Matt?
Right.
Right.
I don't think that it will. I mean, it just becomes Smallville at that point.
Great point, which is one thing I am afraid of. I don't hate Smallville. Okay? I watched several episodes of Smallville that if I put all the episodes combined that I've watched, you can probably get 1 season, right? It wasn't my cup of tea because I don't personally care about I don't care about Superboy. I'm just being honest. If that's where they're going with this, disappointment. I don't need that, but I don't think that's the case either. It's Metropolis. Maybe it's Smallville from the finale going forward, where he got the suit and went all in. I guess my big Superman aside, this hurts. I can't lie, it does hurt because there's so much more that we could have seen from a Man of Steel 2. But let's talk about the bigger picture here. Let's talk about Wonder Woman. Before we do that, actually, let's talk about the movies that are still slated to come out. We've got Flashpoint. We've got Captain Marvel 2. I mean, let me rephrase that. Shazam 2, right? And we've got Aquaman 2.
And Blue Beetle.
Oh, well, Blue Beetle is under his banner. That's a James Gunn thing.
But Blue Beetle was in production for, like, they were shooting, like, all this year. Like, it is written and done under the whole, like, DCEU thing. Under
the Snyderverse?
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Unless it's its own weird Elseworlds thing, post-Flash shit, like the Batgirl movie was going to be. It's, as far as I know, it is in line with, like, Shazam and shit.
You know what's real crazy now that you say that? Because I could totally buy that. All of those characters, aside from Aquaman and Flash, obviously, even Flash, if you think about the Alan Grant, Jay Garrick Flash, they're all from different worlds anyway. Like, Shazam was, you know, on a different world. Blue Beetle was a completely different line of comics too that DC wound up buying out and then bringing them into the fold, but on their old thing. I think they would call it like the Charlton comics or something. So Blue Beetle was, and here's what I think. Blue Beetle was probably, like you said, was filming and doing all this stuff and in line with this Snyderverse. But I think that James Gunn probably had more input on that movie than any other movie outside of his Suicide Squad, because it was probably getting rolling while he was still working with DC before Marvel said, hey, could you come back to do the last one? You know?
I mean, maybe, but it was like, you know, it's shot. It's in post-production right now. Like, like it's possible that like there could have been some things going on behind the scenes like that, and that's something we'll never be privy to. But I mean, it just seems weird that that one is a go, presumably,
The the reason why I
while
say
everything
that
else got like shit canned.
the reason why I say that is because no other movie, not even the Flashpoint movie, has gotten on James Gunn's uh social medias. He put out that Blue Beetle poster where it had the release date and the scarab. He posted that on his social media. That's the only reason why I believe he has something to do with it. You know, so what? Like Suicide Squad is a year old now, and Blue Beetle's been filming, let's say this year. I'm pretty sure he had something to do. He was involved some way, shape, or form with it. But I could be wrong. I could be wrong. He might just get an executive producer credit when the movie comes out. It's a possibility. But okay, Blue Beetle. Oh man, I was going somewhere with this. Okay, so these movies are coming out, and then that's it. Aquaman 2, I want to talk about this one for a second because we all know that that movie had some issues because of the trial with Johnny Depp and Amber Heard. And then when, you know, everything came out about Amber Heard, I mean, people just looked at it differently, and Warner Brothers looked like they were about to either get rid of her scenes or recast. And I think they actually did recast, I'm not sure. Or they reshot stuff.
From what I've heard is that her role was like she's still in the movie and it's probably like contract shit where she has to appear in it, but the role has been like significantly reduced. Screen time has been significantly reduced. But I mean that movie is like we've gotten one or two still photos over a year and a half ago, and then it got pushed back another year. So like,
Oh, so it's in limbo.
yeah, it's supposed to come out next summer, next like maybe next August or something.
2023.
Yeah,
I hope so because I really did like Aquaman. But, NJ, I'm going to go to you on this. It seems everybody has pretty much been on the chopping block except for Jason Momoa because, lo and behold, they want him as Lobo.
Yeah, I can see that. I'm thinking about that. Like, yeah.
I mean, it does.
I don't know. So, like, I didn't watch the Aquaman movie. I've seen clips. It did. I know. I'm terrible.
Fucking DC hater.
Aquaman doesn't interest me.
Why?
And I always thought he was just fish man that talked to fish and solves ocean problems. I never got into him, but I liked him in the Justice League movie.
Okay, I'm gonna give you. The movie's been out for 25 years. It feels like there's a giant monster at the end. Watch the fucking movie.
I know. One of these days.
I
say this with like every movie. One of these days, and 10 years later, I finally watch it. I'm like, wow, that was actually really good.
There's no excuse. You have HBO Max, correct?
Yeah. I'm watching Invasion of the Astro Monster right now.
Yeah, well, stop watching Turner Classic Movies and go to the DC Hub, and they're all there. Watch Man of Steel, watch Aquaman, stop the bullshit.
I should, actually.
yeah, that's fun. You gotta watch it.
But no, I think why they also keep Jason Momoa is like people love him. He's got charisma. He keeps his nose clean. I mean, he goes way back to what was it, like Stargate or Battlestar Galactica? Like he goes back to those shows in the 90s, you know, and he's a great actor, and I'm glad he's not getting cut. I mean, say what you will about Ben Affleck. I've never been a big fan of him, and it's a shame with Henry Cavill. And Gal Gadot, we don't know what's going on with her, but Jason Momoa, he's got screen presence. Jason Momoa is like The Rock, except they actually have him locked down in the DC Cinematic Universe, and they've had him locked down. The Rock, let's be real, he can't be recast as Black Adam. There is another bald family man right around the corner.
Who?
Vin Diesel. I mean, come on.
No, that will never happen. You see, you know what? Get
I'm
off the
just
podcast.
messing
That was
with you.
terrible. I got it. As soon as you said Family Man, I was like, oh no, I walked right into that. Matt, who stays and who goes? Who's on the chopping block?
Pretty sure Gal Gadot is gonna go. From what I understand. Weirdly enough, I just listened to an old interview with Patty Jenkins from right around the time that Wonder Woman 84 was coming out, and it sounds like her and Gal Gadot are pretty tight. So I'm guessing if like she's gone, if Patty Jenkins is gone, then Gal Gadot might go with her.
Okay.
Just my assumption. I don't know if I like. I agree that Momoa sounds like he'd make a great Lobo, and he probably should have always been Lobo, but it would be just a fucking baffling decision to have him as Aquaman in at least 4 movies now.
Yeah.
And then be like, nope, never mind. He's Lobo now. You just gotta figure that one out and deal with it. So that seems weird, and also Lobo is definitely not going to make as much money as Aquaman is.
I don't even think Lobo's going to be a full movie. I think it's going to be more of a fucking cameo. Not even a cameo.
Yeah.
Like Superman fights Lobo in for 10 minutes. And I'm like, oh, should have been having.
Dude, I saw that they want Affleck to direct something, but they didn't say anything about him coming back as Batman. But I mean, from what it sounds like, he's gonna be Bruce Wayne in the new Aquaman. He's gonna be in the Flash. He might have had something to do with Batgirl potentially. Yeah, like he was kind of back in as Batman, and that's back up in the air for like the 4th time now.
Well, I thought
that's gotta be really frustrating.
I thought Keaton was in Batgirl. I just one it was Michael Keaton.
Yeah, he was. I don't know how true this is, but I heard something that some kind of cross-dimensional Elseworld shit was. Affleck was also gonna possibly show up in Batgirl, but I mean, it sounds like Batgirl's like officially lost media now, which is a weird thing to say.
Oh, Batgirl's
about a big budget Hollywood movie.
Batgirl's been finished for like 3 months now. Like they.
Oh, I know, but you know, a lot of people were saying once James Gunn got hired, that you know there was a lot of traction of release the A or cut Suicide Squad. There was actually put out Batgirl. That was the direction that I was hoping his universe was going to go. Was more enable the filmmakers, not have the Suicide Squad world.
I gotcha. Yeah, I gotcha. So that's it. That's all. Those are the only ones you think staying and going.
Zachary Levi's probably gone as Shazam. The Rock is almost certainly gone with all the like weird drama that's going on with that. Yeah, that's like truly fucking bizarre.
I agree with you there. Like The Rock came out the other day on his social media and was like, I didn't want to post this until I got word from my financiers, but Black Adam is posed to make, make $70 to $80 million profit. Like, but it came off as like fuck you. You know what I mean? And I was like, whoa, easy, big fella. I like Black Adam. I told you this the other day. Black Adam,
but
shit blew up. I had a good time. Oh, by the way, Black Adam's on HBO Max tomorrow. Just so you know, you can buy it on DVD. So, JR, you got some things to be watching this weekend, motherfucker.
I know, right? But no, I find it really weird that The Rock's coming out all mad because the movie didn't make a profit. People didn't like it. That's either a fault of the writers or the directors.
Time out. I liked it, and I run the podcast. So if you don't like it,
that's fine. If people like it, it's just like you can't get upset that a majority didn't like it. You can't throw a fit that you didn't make X amount of dollars on it. That's you can't even blame. He can't even blame himself. You blame writers and directors in the studio, but don't blame people for not watching it. I'm sorry, I was watching The Menu.
Now I
I
will
was
say,
watching other shit at the time.
I will say, I think in this aspect, The Rock might have been a little bit misguided and set the expectations too high.
I mean,
Yeah.
That
I
movie was
never even
not
heard.
supposed to be that. You know,
I never heard of Black Adam before this movie. I'm not even joking. And I asked my buddy, Travis, he's, you know, into DC. I'm like, dude, who's Black Adam? He's like, Black Adam, he's awesome. And he's telling me all this stuff. I'm like, oh, that sounds cool. And he's seen the movie. I'm like, is the movie any good? He's like, no, it was shit. I'm like, oh, well, I'm not going to waste my time. You want to go watch The Menu?
oh,
I know.
I'm not gonna stay and dwell on Black Adam, but Black Adam was fun. It was fun. It's not a good
looked fun,
but it is fun. It is a absolute take your brain out, watch this shit movie. He blows people up constantly. People that just get blown up. And again, Dr. Fate, Hawkman, Cyclone, and Atom Smasher all done well. Definite props to Dr. Fate. I love Hawkman in any iteration, so this Hawkman worked. And Cyclone. I cannot stress this enough. I have never seen anything in a superhero movie right now that when Cyclone is doing her powers, she's dancing in the Cyclone. She's dancing. And I'm like, that looks amazing. It was fucking fantastic. But I digress. I think The Rock overshot his projection for Black Adam, how relevant Black Adam is. But I also love that The Rock was being WWE, WWF Rock. He was promoting the shit out of it. He was trying to gain that traction. It just didn't work. Now, 70 million plus, 80 million plus profit, that's a good haul. All things considered, it's a good haul. It's just unfortunate we will never get to see because he wanted to fight Henry Cavill before he was even Black Adam. For 5 years now, he was like, I want Superman. And it's crazy because, you know, The Rock's stock it's kind of high. It's through the roof. The dude, people love him.
Well, what's weird is how much he's openly trying to distance himself and Black Adam from the two other Shazam movies.
Oh yeah,
I feel like that should be directly connected. And I saw something today. Again, it was on one of these like clickbait leaked news sites. It said that he was offered a cameo in the upcoming Shazam movie and he declined. And that it just feels so weird that like his only goal with DC was Superman.
Yeah, to fight Superman.
Why Black Adam then? Why not a different character? There's tons of characters that can go toe to toe with Superman. Why pick one that is so intrinsically connected to a character and another two movies that you don't like apparently or don't want anything to do with?
So I think it comes down to bringing a character like Black Adam up. You know, damn, this is a can of worms. A traditionally non-white character to the forefront. You know, this dude is from a Middle Eastern country, a made-up one, granted, but nonetheless, that's the part of the world that he's from. He wanted to bring that. He wanted to bring the God, the word is escaping my head right now, but basically, he didn't want to play the run-of-the-mill regular character. He wanted to bring some gravitas to, culturally different character.
Diversity?
Thank you. That's the word that eluded my ass. This is a can of worms. I don't even want to talk about this, so I'm not even thinking straight. But that's what it was. He wanted diversity in the DCU, and I'm like, did you see who they cast as Aquaman? Because when they were making a Justice League movie, Jason Momoa was the last person I would have ever thought of. And when they announced Jason Momoa with the fucking poster. That's how they announced him. They didn't say Jason Momoa as Aquaman. They dropped a poster with Jason Momoa as Aquaman. I was like, how come I've never seen that before? This is amazing. It's genius. And I loved it. Because personally, I would have cast Matthew McConaughey. That's just me. That's just me. That's just me as Aquaman. But when I saw that poster for the first time, and I think we were still podcasting at the time, right, man? We might have spoken about this.
Yeah, it was the Unite the Seven poster.
Yeah, this very early on, baby. Like this is like one of our 5th or 6th podcasts. You just go down the list. I loved it. And I think that's what The Rock was trying to say. Like, yeah, I want to have a diverse character in here, and I want to be an anti-hero. And I respect that. But at the same time, agreeing with you, Matt, there was no reason to be shitting on Shazam like that. Like, dude,
no.
Black Adam owes his whole
Shazam
thing for
way more than Black Adam. Shazam was a really, really good, fun movie. I liked Black Adam a lot, but I would sooner rewatch Shazam than I would Black Adam.
Yeah, I hear you. And Shazam 2 looks like just a ton of fun. Like, it really, really does.
Yeah, it does.
So before we go on, I do want to thank my brother Matt. He does have things to do, ladies and gentlemen. I pulled him out of something. I'm just happy you were able to freaking join us for as long as you did.
Oh yeah, it was a lot of fun.
But yeah, he's got to go. We ain't going nowhere because me and JR, we're going to still talk about this for a bit. But before you do leave, where do you see this? Do you see this new iteration of the DCEU working? Do you have faith in it?
Right now, definitely not. It just seems like the last year has been pretty much since Justice League was coming out. They've just been in shambles and just constantly trying to course correct. And like, I would like to see. I mean, if everything is just done and dead, and everything that we knew before is just like just clean slate, then just come out and say it. Just come out and say, clean slate. We want to start over. This is our new branch. This is a new universe. Don't. And he said James Gunn said that there's big news coming out in January, so maybe we can reconvene and do this again in January once that news drops. But it just seems really bad and kind of like testing the waters, sort of to like tiptoe around with like, well, like I guess Patty Jenkins is out, and I guess Wonder Woman 3 is out, and Henry Cavill just quit The Witcher for partially because to return as Superman, but I guess we got to fire him. But we might have Affleck direct something. We still got Blue Beetle coming out. Like it's a mess. I want to see some cohesion. I want to see maybe actual grown-ups handle the news reporting and how the news is put out there. Like however you feel about Cavill leaving, his post that he put up was a fucking class act.
Yes, sir.
Dude couldn't have done it in a better, more like respectful way, because I would have been fucking pissed and I wouldn't have said it as kindly. Yeah, that's the kind of stuff that I hope to see, is just some actual like maturity with how they want to handle DC, because just because they're silly comic book movies and silly comic book characters doesn't mean that they're silly to everybody.
Agreed.
Which is like why we're having this discussion, because like these characters mean something to us.
Yes, sir. Yes, they do. Oh man, well, Matt, I love you, brother. Thank you for joining us today. I'm glad that you were able to get on this thing.
Yeah, thanks for having me. That was good.
Before he goes, I just want everybody to know. Listen, me and Matt, we did a podcast the other day that I didn't get to upload, but you will find it this weekend, and it is our review of Netflix's Troll movie, which was absolutely fantastic, in my opinion. But you got to see what Matt has to say about that come this weekend, okay? So yes, thank you for that. Thank you for this. And I guess I'll see you in about a week when we do our highs and lows of the 2022.
Yeah, sounds good.
All right, my brother. It's been a
All right.
pleasure, man. Take it easy.
Oh yeah, thanks for having me. It was good seeing you guys again.
All right, man. Later.
Later.
And that was brother Matt. I love that dude. We actually, no lying, this whole channel wouldn't have been what it is if it wasn't for him saying, "Yo, let's do it." Like, this man was like, "Let's do it," and I was like, "All right." And literally, like, we did, I think 3 podcasts right off the bat, like back to back to back. And it was a Godzilla podcast, it was a Star Wars podcast, and it was a fucking DC podcast, and we just kept going and going and going. So I appreciate Matt so much. I appreciate G95. He is my brother from another mother, absolutely. But we're not done yet, right? I still got JR with me. JR is a crazy motherfucker. So you had said something before, and I was like, holy shit, yes. You had mentioned this Christopher Reeve Superman. James Gunn actually, not too long ago, put up a picture of Christopher Reeve's Superman. And I was like, huh. And he was hinting and hinting and hinting like he's been doing that. And I'm like, okay. And then, of course, you know, the whole reason for this particular live stream, he kills it all. Well, he kills Henry Cavill as Superman and takes out everybody. But are they trying to go back to what made at least the first 2 movies fun? Because Superman 1's a great movie. Superman 2 is my favorite movie in terms of the Christopher Reeves one. Superman 3, I can't lie, I am scared of that movie. It's something about you. All right, let me ask you a question, Mr. I have never seen DC movies, apparently. Have you seen Superman 3?
I've seen all the Christopher Reeve Superman movies
Woof.
and Superman Returns since it's still in the same canon.
Okay, good. Superman 3 always scares me. It still does to this time. When that lady turns into a robot, that is fucking tough. Yo, that is one of the scariest things I've ever seen in my life. I can't watch that, man. I get nervous. I'm like, oh my God. She turned.
Hey.
That's just scary.
Richard Pryor ruins that movie, dude. I respect Richard Pryor, but oh my God.
No. What I do love about... No, go ahead.
He just fucking ruins it, man.
No, man.
Oh, that Superman 3 is a chore to sit through. Superman 4 is one of those movies, like, if you're drunk and you want to watch a bad movie, that's one of the ones you put on, man.
I saw that movie in the theaters, bro. I saw Superman 4 in the theaters. I was loving it. Go get him, Superman! I loved it. I fucking loved it. I did not like Superman Returns, I'll be honest. I love the idea of it. I love the beginning, especially love that. I thought that was dope. The idea of him looking for Krypton and coming back now after all these years. But
see,
he got stabbed with kryptonite and lifted a kryptonite with the kryptonite charge still in his gut. He lifted a kryptonite continent. Nope. I'm sorry, but nope.
I'm weird with Superman Returns because I do really like that movie, but it's not one of those movies I would watch. Like, it's one of those, like, I would put on, like, once every 5 years, 10 years, and watch it, and probably enjoy it, but it's like, I'll put you back in another 5 to 10 years, you know? The writing I thought was really good. The story's really good. Kevin Spacey as Lex Luthor, surprisingly good.
That was great.
I really enjoyed that. That's another thing that I want to bring up real quick.
Yeah.
Can we get a really good Lex Luthor now?
Yeah, well, and that's the thing. Like with Man of Steel, there was no Lex Luthor, so it worked because when they put Dippy McDipsticks in there, I personally, man. I like that dude, and I can't think of his name right now, but
Jesse Eisenberg.
Yeah. I like that dude. I do. As Lex Luthor, I think that was a bad decision. I think it was bad.
I kept thinking, for some reason, when I was watching that movie, I was thinking of like, I forget what, the Red Hood Robin. For some reason,
Jason
Tim
Todd?
Drake
Jason
or
Todd.
Jason Todd. Yeah, Jason Todd. I kept thinking of him. I'm like, what if this is just Jason Todd after he was brought back in the Lazarus pit and just gone insane?
As what? And turned into Lex Luthor? What type of?
Yeah, just like was thinking he was Lex Luthor. I was like, anything but him actually being Lex Luthor, because this makes virtually no fucking sense.
Zero, brother, zero. I mean, and don't get me wrong. No, it's irredeemable. I don't like him, like at all. I don't like
No.
BVS. I don't. Now the BVS extended edition, I tolerate a lot more because then they start connecting dots that the theatrical version didn't do. The theatrical version of BVS was cut up, and y'all can go check this podcast out. It's one of our very first podcasts on this G Show podcast page. You should go check it. It literally is just me and Matt talking about the theatrical cut because that's where that came out. But when the extended cut came out for home video, I was like, okay. Yes, that makes sense. Okay, thank God. They connect the dots. I still don't like that movie. I think it's a terrible movie. You don't kill Superman there. That's stupid.
No. What really ruins that movie for me is I had an old friend, and I watched it with him, the extended cut, for the first time, and at the end he's like, huh? That's like one of the best Batman movies. And I'm like, Ben Affleck sucks.
What?
I don't like Ben Affleck as Batman.
What?
Like, for the...
What?
I know.
What?
I really liked Christian Bale for a very long time until Robert Pattinson came along.
What? Listen to me.
Yeah.
No.
Affleck had the look.
Ben
He had
Affleck
the
was
look,
the best
the physique.
on-screen live action. Notice I said live action. Live action Batman in a movie, not in a show, because the greatest on-screen Batman of all time was Kevin Conroy live action. He actually played an older Bruce Wayne, broken, in the Crisis of Infinite Earths crossover on the CW shows. So Kevin Conroy automatically gets the pass as the greatest on-screen Batman, period. But as far as movies go, Ben Affleck is the greatest on-screen Batman. He had the look down pat. The suit was fantastic. The brutality was Batman. Granted, he was killing people. Batman don't really kill. That was my big gripe. But you cannot, let me tell you something. You could take the entirety of The Batman, okay? And that's a great movie. I love that movie. You could take the entirety of that movie and put it up against just the warehouse sequence with Batman, and there's no fucking way. There's no way. There's no way. Anything, Robert Pattinson, fucking Christian Bale, Michael Keaton, Val Kilmer, George Clooney, Adam West, they pale in comparison to what Ben Affleck's Batman was in BVS, especially when it comes to that warehouse sequence. He was the Batman. Like, he was fucking... Man, listen. He beat the shit out of everybody. Like, that was the epitome of Batman. I was like, oh my God, that's Batman. It's Batman,
that was cool. The problem is, and it's not really Ben Affleck's fault, is he was just thrown in Batman v Superman and thrown into Justice League. If
No. See, but that's the problem. That's the problem you have. You've never seen Man of Steel. So if you saw Man
I know
of
the
Steel,
scene in Batman v Superman.
right? But
I know that part, Man of Steel.
And so let me tell you something. It seems to be the case with certain movies, man. When a movie starts off like BVS, and they're going back and they're doing, the sequence from Man of Steel, and you're like, oh shit, like, oh, Batman was there, Bruce Wayne was there, like, it was dope. I was like, man, this is fucking awesome. Same thing, and of course, it's not a Godzilla podcast, but with Shin Godzilla, the beginning of that movie is fantastic. What's going on? That mystery, the camcorded video, the Blair Witch effect, whatever you want to call it. I loved all of that mystery shit. Even when the tail pops up and everybody's like, what's going on? What's going on? It's not until that thing goes up on land. That's like, what is this? And then they ruin it because they put the good music in the wrong spot. Just saying. Just saying.
yeah.
That was what BVS was. It was like, oh my God, because again, it was like the continuation. It's like going and you're seeing what's going on from his point of view from the end of Man of Steel. Man of Steel is fantastic. Fantastic. From beginning to end. I love that movie. It's a that shit, and that's what kills me with this whole thing. Like James Gunn. You can't like enough, and I get it. A lot of people do say that movie's mediocre. But I have friends, I know people who hated that movie. Hell, my wife, for instance, she hated that movie. And then all of a sudden she's like, wait, you watching Man of Steel? Why are you watching it without me? I'm like, what the fuck? Like, legit. I know people who were like that were like, yeah, I don't know. And then when they revisit it and watch it again, they're like, oh my God. Yes, the problem is BVS fucked it up. It fucked it up. It really, really, really did. It fucked up Man of Steel. Because what we seen in that Superman was not like BVS was just a placeholder for Justice League. Now the Snyder cut of Justice League is fantastic. The problem with the Snyder cut though is we didn't get that first.
No.
And I
and
yeah, go ahead.
That's one thing I wanted to say here is as much as we hate the idea of them rebooting this and getting rid of like everyone, is it such a bad idea? I mean, I liked what Zack Snyder was doing because to me DC is dark. DC is dark. You have some lighter characters, lighter moments, but DC is always like this dark cinematic thing. Dark sides fucking imposing, you got death metal knights and the Batman Who Laughs and all this like really gothic stuff.
Terrible shit.
To me.
All terrible.
Right.
All terrible.
But Zack Snyder kind of captured that. As much as I didn't like Batman versus Superman, I got it. I got what he was going for. The Dark Knight Returns. That's what it was really going for. And I do like The Dark Knight Returns as a story. I think it's fantastic. And then the Justice League Snyder Cut, like, I got it. And I really liked that movie. Again, the one gripe that I had was some of the music. That's one gripe in a 4-hour-long movie, dude.
Same, bro. I'm 100% with you. The music, I was like, why are they singing for 12 minutes to Aquaman? Cut it out. It goes on for
so long.
Cut it out.
But I got it. I got his vision, and it was working for me. I was like, and people criticizing like, it's too dark. It's like, look, go somewhere else if you don't like it. Let's be honest. If you don't like it, fine. Don't bitch and complain that it's not for you. What do you want? What do you want out of, like, it's a very serious movie. These movies are going for that dark, gritty. They're very serious movies. What did you expect? They're building up to Darkseid. Darkseid, I mean, there was this one, what was it, Final Crisis, where he was, like, using mind control on people. And, like, all this, it's really heavy stuff, and it's dark, and it's gritty in the comics, and it translated perfect when he did it. And now we're getting rid of it. We're just throwing it away. From a guy, let's be honest, and I love the Guardians movies, I won't talk shit about them, but a guy who's coming over from Marvel, just like Joss Whedon did, and it didn't work with Joss Whedon, so we had to release the Snyder Cut. And now we're having another guy from Marvel come over, but this guy's actually in fucking charge now. It's got me a little concerned with it, and I don't think it's a bad idea to reboot it. I'm just worried because we already have Marvel. Marvel has been doing their shtick for over 10 years. It's their style, and you know what I'm talking about. Some of the movies are serious, but some don't take themselves too serious. They have a balance, and I'm more on I'm kind of getting tired of it. I miss my dark, gritty DC. That's why I love the Batman so much. It's a breath of fresh air. for me, which is weird because that movie is so covered in grime and filth. But it's got me worried because then now we're gonna possibly have these two cinematic universes with the same tone. The DC cinematic universe, say what you will, it's got serious and gritty. It's got some comedy. It's got a lot of violence. It's got gore, and there's a possibility we'll start losing that. That worries the shit out of me. And then Marvel, they dip their hands into it with Infinity War and Endgame and the Multiverse of Madness, because I will never get over that fucking scene with Mr. Fantastic.
Yeah, no,
holy shit.
That was insane.
But you know where I'm coming from. It's like not a bad idea because it's got so many problems. The series has had so many problems and all of these issues and studio meddling. So just reboot it all, but it's worrying because Zack Snyder was doing it right to a degree, I don't know.
I guess my only problem is that they would have never. They weren't going to continue the Snyderverse even before James Gunn was hired. Like, legitimate, there was never going to be a Justice League 2. That's why Henry Cavill was gone. That's why it was such a revelation when he came back that The Rock, of all people, Dwayne Johnson, was like, nah, we need him back. Like, that's Superman. And if anything, like, the fight of the century is going to be me versus him. Look, that might be egotistical on The Rock's part, but I was all for it. I was paying my money. That's box office. You know what I mean? You get my money. But there wasn't going to be a Justice League 2, and the setup was so perfect from the Snyder Cut. But the problem was the Snyder Cut came out on a streaming service. It wasn't what we got in the theaters. Now, here's the thing. If that movie was to come out in the theaters, make no mistake about it, that would have been Justice League 1, 1A and 2A, and 1B. It would have been like one of them Harry Potter movies, the last one, where they broke the last movie into two movies. That's what Justice League, this version, the Snyder Cut, would have been. And then it would have went on, and then, we would have escalated towards Darkseid, and I'm fine, because that movie was escalating towards Darkseid, and I was with it. But because it was off of HBO Max, they weren't going for that. They weren't. And it was just like, fuck. Like, I would have liked if that would have been the case. Because, yeah, that Snyder Cut was dope. It was dope. I agree with you. The music in the beginning, especially in the beginning, I was like, all right, okay, enough with the bullshit Bear McCreary shit. Get over it. I'm tired. Right? So, getting to this point, and don't forget, you gotta remember one thing. The gore in the DC, film universe, the DCEU, the gore came from James Gunn. It didn't come from anybody else.
Well, Zack Snyder had a little bit of it with like Batman killing people in the
that was in the theatrical
unrated.
cut. No, that was in the theatrical cut.
I was like, holy shit. Like, all right, I've never seen Batman do that to someone.
Yeah, no, that was in the theatrical cut too. But no, I mean, like, the gore was people getting blown up, eaten. When they had the Starros on the people's face and they took the Starro off, it had their face was melted where that Starro was. Like, all that was crazy. I loved it. But you can't do that with Superman. It can't be an R-rated Superman. It can't. It's not.
You really can't.
It can't. Now look, there was a lot of dark in the Superman stuff, and a lot of people didn't like that. But the way I looked at it was like, yeah, it's gonna be dark before the light. That's Superman. His whole thing. He says it in Man of Steel. What's the S stand for? You gotta watch it. Damn it. What's the S stand for? It stands for hope. That's what he says. It stands for hope. So hope takes a nosedive, but then, from the end of Justice League, I was certain we were going to get something cool again, and it's hard because you had the whole Darkseid scenario. I would have loved to see a Man of Steel 2. I would have loved to see Black Adam and Superman go at it. I do agree with Matt. The Rock shitting on Shazam is stupid because, in all honesty, it should be Shazam and Black Adam. I mean, like, they both say Shazam to get their powers. So
is it Black Adam? Yeah, Black Adam's negative Shazam, right? Like,
he was the first one to wield the power, and then the wizard stripped him because he was using it for wrong. Whereas Shazam was pure of heart with the power, you know, and he does the right thing with it.
So Shazam and Black Adam should be but
exactly. Exactly. And don't get me wrong, because there was a comic book and they did like a 5-minute animation that actually went to DVD, which was crazy because I was like, it's 5 minutes. Where it was Superman and Shazam teaming up to fight Black Adam. That's how fucking strong Black Adam is.
Oh, really?
Yes. That's why I'm like, and he doesn't like Shazam. Why? Because the money is in you being the ultimate dude versus Superman and Shazam. Like, come on, Rock. That's a triple threat match. Like, you want to be the guy, like, yeah, both these guys got to take me out. That's the beauty of it. But fuck, yeah. I mean, where we're going right now, I mean, we still have the Batman 2, which I am really looking forward to. We've got Joker 2, and that's happening. That's happening. The first screenshot dropped this week, and it's just Joaquin Phoenix in a chair getting shaved by, I guess, a prison barber. I love, and that's all it was. And I'm just like, I love the fact that that's happening. I cannot wait for that movie. And it's supposed to be a musical. Okay. Just do whatever you want. I don't care. I don't care. But as far as the DCU going forward, there was one thing I was waiting, but Matt didn't say it. Like, one of those people off the list, it's got to be Ezra Miller. Like, once Flash is done, that's it. Because I think he's a liability now.
He's made such a clown of himself. He's destroyed his reputation. He's his own worst enemy. This guy is Ezra Miller's a terrible person. Great as the Flash, in my opinion.
Agreed.
But he is an awful fucking human being.
Yeah, it's sad, man. I really like Ezra Miller, man. I do. I like him a lot.
He kills it as Flash, dude.
Yeah, not only as Flash, like the dude has the chops. He's phenomenal. And as the Flash, that's what I love too. I remember when I saw Ezra Miller in the first Harry Potter spinoff, and he was all dark and sad and scared and lonely, and I was like, damn. Like, I felt bad. Like, really felt bad. I was like, damn. And then the fact that they were using him because of his power, he nailed it. And then I'm watching Justice League, and my wife is like, you know, that's that guy from Harry Potter. I'm like, no, it's not. It can't be. It's not him. It's not. It's not. Like, it's night and day. It's night and day. It's Batman and it's Superman. It's night and day. It doesn't make sense. And then it was him, and I'm like, oh my God. And I loved him as the Flash. He's perfect. Yeah. It's just, you know, the stuff,
the controversy,
the personal
he
stuff.
It's on himself.
It's hard, man. It's hard because I want to root for the dude. I do. I really, really, really do. But you can't, you know.
No,
because
not with the stuff that he does, not with how he acts. And I'm not one to, you know, I always have a rule: disassociate the actor from the character, because if you hate the actor, you're not gonna like his performance in this movie. And with Ezra Miller, again, I disassociate it, but he's just gone too damn far.
Yeah.
You know, they gotta. If there's one person I say they should cut out, it's Ezra Miller. Just the Flash. He was going just pull a boys moment. Like, he was going really fast and then smashed into a wall and died. I don't know. Like, he ran over one too many pedestrians and they put him in jail. I don't know.
I can't wait for the Flashpoint. I mean, the Flash, like, his movie is the way to get, like, that literally is the way to take him out. It really is. Because you can do some crazy shit where, I mean, it's his movie. He's the hero of that movie. It's not going to be Batman and stuff. He has to save the universe, and the only way to do that is to sacrifice himself to the Speed Force. Pretty much like Crisis on Infinite Earth. Then so be it. Then you just solved the fucking problem. That's why I was like, there's no reason to recast. There's zero and again, that's the reason for this podcast. There's zero reason to recast. But with recasting, I would like to see the end of Flash be the end of the Snyderverse, but it has to be done in a very fucking poignant way. Like, you know, in all honesty, you have to give credit to everyone who came out and showed support when they were like, release the Snyder Cut.
Yeah.
You gotta, like, people willed that shit into existence, man. Not, let me rephrase that. It was there. But they willed it to happen. They manifested the Snyder Cut to actually be released. And not only released, but given money to finish the project. That's insane. We don't see that. You don't see that. And if they're gonna end the Snyderverse with Flashpoint and go in their own direction, they have to do it in such a manner where it's going to give everybody who did that, give us the Justice League, they got to do it where it's the perfect send-off. You know? And I don't mean having that Justice League team with all the actors at the end waving goodbye in a tunnel of light, but I would not mind that. I think it'd be the funniest, perfect thing ever. I'd give it a 20 out of 10. I'd be like, yeah, take it all.
Well, and here's what's really cool about DC as well is there are so many different Earths that exist in the DC universe. This could just be Universe 1. Yep. Let's go to Earth 2 and Universe 2 now.
Yep.
The Snyderverse was Earth 1. We're going to Earth 2. We're moving on. This is what happens in Earth 2 because not all Supermen are the same.
That's true.
That has been established in DC lore. I mean, I'd like to see that idea. Have that thrown in there, and you know, Flashpoint or something like, you know, I don't know, just a one-off line or something. Just be like, oh my God, this is what universe this? Oh, that's cool. And then that's how we open up the Avengers versus the Justice League.
Well, listen,
I know.
In all listen, in all honesty, I mean, like, JLA Avengers was a thing in the early 2000s, and it is a glorious thing. And if you can find that, I implore everyone to read those 4 issues of the Justice League and Avengers. It's just called JLA Avengers. It's not JLA versus Avengers, it's JLA Avengers. And it's 4 issues, and it is literally like, it's, the plot revolves around a DC-centric crisis.
Yeah.
But they bring in the way they do it is just pure genius. It's just pure genius. And you know what? That was in the early 2000s. We're here in 2022, going into 2023. There has been writers and artists from both companies trying to bring that shit back. Because here's the deal. The movies, when Marvel started making the movies, it kind of fucked all the shit up. Same way what it did with, like, Marvel vs. Capcom. The games.
Yeah.
You know, like, Marvel vs. Capcom 2 was fucking the greatest fighting game. Like, that was it. But then 3 came out, and then Infinite came out. But they were forcing more of the movie characters. And it's like, come on. Marvel, like, there was a lot of... And then, of course, the licensing... Fox owns the X-Men and Fantastic Four, so you really can't use them, even though Wolverine and Cyclops, it's like some of the best characters. Magneto, and Storm, for crying out fucking loud, I use her all the time in Marvel vs. Capcom 2. They were like, yeah, it started to get weird. The writers were making it so, and I loved it, Marvel had their universe open up to a multiverse all of a sudden. Oh, now there's a multiverse in Marvel. And what happens? Oh, there's a universe somewhere out there where there's an Earth where there's these archetypes that are DC characters. And I loved it. And they were in Squadron Supreme, which is the Marvel version of the Justice League. They were literally the fucking Justice League on this Earth. But they were the archetypes. There was the Batman, there was the Superman, there was the Green Lantern, there was the Wonder Woman, there was the Flash. They were there. There was the Martian Manhunt. They were there. They were there. And DC did the same fucking thing where they did the Avengers. And it was literally like the Captain America was a dude with a shield. And I was like, what? It was the Hulk. There was Iron Man. There was Thor. Like, you can use Thor in anything because it's, you know, as long as you don't make him look like Marvel's Thor, it's Thor. That's mythology. You can use it.
I've been playing God of War Ragnarok. That's Thor.
It's Thor. So, like, things like that, you could do it. And they were doing things like that. And they were, to your point, when you were talking about death metal and all that shit, that was all a multiverse shit. And they were talking about it. Marvel did some shit where they would talk, I think it was in a Thor book, actually. It was in a Thor book where they were talking about these, like, seven particular gods, if you will. They weren't really gods, but it was just like these seven things that are just like omnipotent. But the way they were describing it, it was all the Justice League. It was Superman, it was Batman, it was Wonder Woman, it was the Flash, it was fucking nuts because it was Marvel giving them props. Like, we can't fuck with that. You know, not in that terms, but it was basically like that's something like a whole nother thing. And I love that. They were trying to get there. Could the movies get there? Yo, that's a lot of red tape. A lot of red tape. And how
what it comes down to is Disney getting over themselves, Warner Brothers getting over themselves, and Sony stop being fucking greedy with Spider-Man.
That ain't gonna happen. That ain't gonna happen.
Split that shit 3 ways. I don't care. I would love. Well, now I can't say I'd love to see it because now the DC cinematic universe is in shambles. It's gone. Everything we know and love is gone.
Well, it is a crisis.
Yeah.
But at the end of every crisis comes a rebirth. So if that's what we're going to get now, then so be it. The rebirth of the DC cinematic universe, or the DC extended universe, they got to stop calling it that. It's the cinematic universe. Just like the MCU, just call it the DCCU. Oh, God. No, that's terrible. DC, see you later. That's actually a perfect segue to end this fucking podcast. But yeah, I think we're gonna put a stamp on it here, brother. I appreciate you, JR, man. Thank you for hanging out with us.
Hey, man, it's no problem, and I really hope they do a Death Metal Knights movie. I'm just saying.
Never ever gonna happen. That book is terrible. I cannot at all.
I love it.
Oh God. Thank you all for listening to this live stream, this podcast. We appreciate y'all. Again, remember, shout out to G95 Matt for being here earlier. We do have a review for Troll, and it will be up this weekend, so check that out. And yeah, thank you, JR. Appreciate you. I am G1. We are out of here. Peace. Should we...